fun of this job, I would say, for me particularly, has been this wonderful opportunity to meet, learn, and find out more things about many of the favourite people that have entertained us over the years. You know, those that you grew up with. Maybe you went to see them at the cinema, whether that be the Little Rascals, Buster Crabbe in Flash Gordon. You know, whatever generation you are, they make a big impact on you, don't they? And that's the thing, isn't it, about keeping people's memories alive. As many people know, that's what I like to do here on this show. And the fact is, when you think about, in my opinion, two of the greatest comedians ever were none other than Stan and Ollie, Laurel and Hardy. Now, sadly, I'm too young to have ever seen them live, but there was a movie a couple of years back all about their final tours over here in Great Britain, and it was a very well done film. But as ever with films, they leave out bits, a bit like the Judy Garland film, that actually were more interesting, told by the people that actually worked with them, than actually was included in the film. You understand? It was fitting on this day to share a memory with you, because sadly on this day in 1957 we lost the brilliant Oliver Hardy. Yeah, I have to say, out of the two, I thought he was the funniest for me. His expressions, the way that he was so clever at being able to bounce around with that weight, you know. You do kind of think, obviously he was very fit, really, you understand? But it was fascinating to meet people who had literally worked with them. Now, I'd met many over the years that have gone on, you know, who were on the final tours and stuff like that. One of them was the brilliant ventriloquist Ray Allen. Remember him? Who had that wonderful dummy, Ray Allen and Lord Charles. Do you remember Lord Charles? Slightly squiffy all the time, a little bit Terry Thomas, and a little bit rude about people, which, of course, when you're a kid, you love, don't you? By the way, we haven't had a wave. We'll have a lovely wave. Morning, nice to see you, or good evening, whatever you're doing. And do you remember Lord Charles? Do share all those things in the comments. It's always good to hear whether you watched him like me as a kid. You know, I thought he was terrific. And then, of course, the brilliant and late Sir Norman Wisdom, who was a personal friend, not just to me, but to the family, and, you know, a wonderful man. He was able to meet Laurel and Hardy because he was a big star when they came over for their final tours. So much so that they saw Norman as a bit of a threat in the theatres, because he was packing them out at the Prince of Wales and the Palladium. And of course they were on a provincial tour at that point, worried about whether they would get a London date. But as Ray Allen shared with me about this particular insider track, you'll see a wonderful picture of him here taken behind, backstage actually, at the glorious Grand Theatre up in Blackpool. Wonderful venue, created by Frank Matcham. If you've got a chance to go and have a look round it, you know, I remember as a kid when it was virtually closing down and it got saved at the 11th hour. Yes, opened by royalty as well, no less, yes, when it reopened back in the early 80s. But Ray Allen was wonderful because he was on, as I say, the bill of the final tour. And he said that part of the problem for Laurel and Hardy was, as ever, something to do with this. That's right, money. Apparently what happened was they were trying to get a movie going, and when that didn't happen with film studios over here, or indeed Hollywood, they turned their attention to television. But television, you see, didn't really want to know Stan and Ollie, simply because they felt they were yesterday's news. There was a new kid sort of double act on the block, which was, at that point, Abbott and Costello. And every generation has them, whether it's Jewel and Morris, Morecambe and Wise, Mike and Bernie Winters, every single generation has them. Now, what's fascinating about this is they could not get even on television because the BBC felt they were old hat. You understand how this works. And again, when you also look at it, they couldn't become guests on shows like, say, Saturday Spectacular, the David Whitfield Show, all of those big stars of the day. They just felt they were a wrong fit. Now, the sort of fledgling ITV channel also was after the youth vote. They were hoping basically that people would simply go to the cinema and leave the television to the money-spending teenagers. That's right, the Winkle Pickers, the Teddy Boys, all of that sort of stuff. Yes, you see, nothing really changes. And so sadly, according to Ray, alongside another wonderful comedian, Alan Scott, they basically said no, you know, they couldn't get anywhere in. And so by the time they returned, they did a spectacular tour over in Ireland as well. But by the time they returned back to the United States, things were really crumbling again. What was meant to be a relaunch for them over here in the United Kingdom had proven finally very successful after a lot of push. The only exposure they could get was the newsreels that were shown in cinema. but they wanted to be on telly to now introduce, of course, a brand new audience. It was only many years later when Laurel and Hardy's terrific films started to get re-shown on television, did a brand new audience just appreciate how wonderful these two geniuses, I felt, of comedy were. If you haven't checked out Laurel and Hardy for a while, do have another look. There's plenty of it on YouTube. And if you need a chuckle, a bit of a cheer up, then these two are definitely something of a tonic. It's always good to remember, isn't it, the wonderful people that have gone beyond. And thank you, Oliver Hardy, for creating so many laughs for so many people. Sadly lost on this day. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.